Hello everyone, and welcome to our first moderator debate. The theme of today is Excellence Does Not Fear Observation. Here we have today gathered some of O-MUN's finest moderating team and obviously some very, very strong Model United Nations delegates. And today is their opportunity to shine and provide a good example of what an online debate sounds like using modified Simon rules and procedures. Today, your most honorable chair will be Arthur Shin from Mount Kiara International School in Malaysia. He is a very pivotal individual in the development of our online MUN program, and as you can see from the lengthy list of Model UN accomplishments, you are in good hands today. Without any further ado, I would like to formally turn this over to Arthur, who will begin today's proceedings.
Hello delegates, I'm Arthur Shin, and we'll move to the next slide. Before that, I'd like to introduce you to our amendment mod today, who is Ritika, and Rohan, who is our backup amendment mod. Also, we'll now begin roll call. When your country name is called, please press the talk button and say President voting. Delegate of China.
Present.
Delegate of France.
Present voting.
Delegate of Iran.
The delegate of Iran is present and voting.
Delegate of Israel.
Present.
Delegate of Portugal.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Russia.
Present.
Delegate of Saudi Arabia.
Present.
Delegate of Syria.
Present and voting.
Delegate of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Ukraine. Delegate of Ukraine.
Present. Present.
Delegate of the United States of America.
Present and voting.
Thank you. We'll now move to debates on the resolution. Please wait for the chair to pull up the resolution on the whiteboard. The resolution is now up on the board. We'll now commence debates. Would the main submitter please read out the operative clauses?
Affirms the international community's resolve to creating a democracy within Syria, which benefits the Syrian people. 2. Supports the United Nations' initial 6-point plan for Syria by Envoy Kofi Annan and the unanimous support provided by the United Nations Security Council on said plan. 3. Strongly urges the Syrian government to recognize the individual rights of all peoples as stipulated within the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and to afford the rights to all people. 4. Endorses the requirement for free and fair elections under the supervision of international monitors from the Arab League, Transparency International, and from the United Nations, with an allowance for minorities to freely cast their votes without fear of reprisals to pave the way for a better future. 5. Recommends the international community consider alternate strategies regarding aid for Syria, and in doing so, will aid the United States Agency for International Development and other such organizations by A. Providing economic assistance through I. Direct budget support, II. Development assistance, III. Infrastructure investment, IV. And technical advice on implementing economic policy adjustments. B. Rebuilding Syria by focusing on 3 key areas, which are communication, education, and industrial growth, with an emphasis on I. Providing suitable vocational training for Syrians in order to encourage the population to rebuild their own nation. II. Recruiting local Syrian contractors instead of foreign counterparts in order to increase employment and ownership. C. Enhancing bilateral and regional trade possibilities whilst implementing reconstruction opportunity zones as seen through successes in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan, and encouraging foreign investment. 6. Calls for the creation of a civilian protection program under the Human Rights Watch and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, and other relevant authorities in order to minimize the threat to civilians on the road to peace and security. 7. Request the establishment of secure havens in which internally displaced persons will be placed under protection of the UNHCR, UN Police, and the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, UNDOF, whereby A. Practical resources can be delivered so as to ensure the survival of these persons. B. The locations accessible to civilians, yet secure and protected under the auspices of the United Nations. C. Camps be set up based on the cluster approach. D. Recommends that the havens as stated are temporary and are only available until 2020, whereby it shall be the responsibility of the UNHCR and the Syrian Arab Republic to provide permanent shelter to IDPs, wherein a suitable infrastructure can be established and basic amenities provided according to World Health Organization standards. Clause 8. Calls upon the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations Development Program to further their mandate as the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNHRC, A/HRC/Res/711 resolution approved in 2008 in order to enhance governance and anti-corruption reforms which are set in place in the Syrian Arab Republic by A. Increasing domestic and foreign support for government-driven programs of governance and anti-corruption reform through methods such as, but not limited to, I. Television advertisements, radio shows, internet, and other forms of mass media. II. Pamphlets, bulletin boards, billboards, and posters, oral presentations to illiterate citizens about the benefits of democratic reform. B. Ensuring that governance issues concerning Assad be settled in order to encourage respective sectors of the Syrian Arab Republic to be actively engaged in the implementation of governance reform. C. Expanding and facilitating government interest in promoting anti-corruption and democratic reform through measures including, but not limited to, I. Bilateral discussions with representatives of various agencies, II. Annual evaluations of Syria's progress in terms of governance, technical, and financial assistance. Clause 9 calls upon member nations to arrest and prosecute criminals involved in the Syrian uprising who have caused crimes against humanity and have caused irreplaceable damage to lives, families, and the rich culture and diversity of Syria. Clause 10 supports the establishment of a law of return, entitling any person of Syrian descent to return to the Syrian Arab Republic, whereby they will be given opportunities afforded to them as full citizens of Syria in order to rebuild the status of Syria. Clause 11 asks the Syrian government to allow aid provided by the international community and non-governmental organizations into Syria in order to ensure that civilians have access to the following, but not limited to: A. Food, potable water, and other basic requirements. B. Health care for casualties, the elderly, and the children. C. Provision of safety and protection for humanitarian aid workers under the Geneva Convention. Clause 12 requests the Syrian Arab Republic consider peaceful democratic transition, including, but not limited to, A. Change leadership within the Syrian government, including but not limited to President Bashar al-Assad, wherein he will relinquish all powers he has within the Syrian Arab Republic. B. Calls for the establishment of a Syrian National Security Council, modeled after the Turkish National Security Council, wherein it is given control as a judicial body and charged with protecting the unity and secular nature of the Syrian Arab Republic. C. Entering ceasefire negotiations with the Syrian National Council in order to pave the way to future elections. Clause 13. Trust that once the ceasefire is met, that disarmament of members of the Syrian National Council and associated bodies be conducted under the guidance of the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs and the UNDOF. Clause 14. Resolves to remain actively seized on this matter in accordance to the United Nations Charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair now sets an open debate time of 45 minutes on the resolution as a whole. Delegate, you may proceed with your opening speech.